and napkins and things for in
They're
anticipation of dinner being delivered.
All right, sounds good.
Kills through more resources and trying to make her as successful in every history of career. It's good. They send in a ton of corporate. I forgot it all. Other systems. And then already.
Come up here,
So.
You just set them on the credenza up there.
No. One thing that I also wanted to mention.
What should I do with it? Come on.
Yeah, you're fine. It's in there to automatically, so by approving my bonus, we're gonna change the language in the policy, so you can award $1,000. So what I do, this allows me to.
Hey, I'm here.
Easier. It's easier to ask the commission. Approving.
Right here.
She
She felt like she cheated you last time.
Yeah, I should have given you a little more for the last delivery, so, yeah,
There you go.
all right, thank you. Mhm.
Oh, my head hurts. I should just.
You did a good job with this knot.
When that's all done. Where, how are you?
Hey, nasty.
Do you know Supervisor Ware?
No, I do not.
No, you do.
I do now.
So are you gonna do the swearing in or is that?
I will. If you have a moment to put your things down, then we can step out to the
I
side.
think we have yep, we already have a seat for you over there.
I'll be there. Hold on, shirt for me.
Where do you live?
Hey,
Where in Hamilton?
give me ten.
Oh, right.
Like off the St. Paul. You brought me donuts too?
We're a house.
Oh, yeah, Billy, he came off, he said.
Uh-huh. Need. Knives.
Drinks.
Okay.
Yes, I do need to put soda over there.
Need some help?
But forks and knives
Dressing?
and
Tongs.
tongs, that's what I was trying to think of. Thank you. You're gonna like this. This is good.
She doesn't understand me, she thinks I'm gonna like this.
Yeah, I was telling him he's gonna like this meeting.
Yeah, pizza.
Hope I don't get towed, since I'm in that 30-minute parking spot.
You're good, so we do that next week. You're great. So a little bit of a run through, so you'll be, so Sharon, you kind of peek and you kind of see what's going on using Sharon's agenda, you have your own.
I got it with me.
This is just annotated, it shows kind of behind the scenes stuff. We do a safety message, jump into approval of the agenda. The downside is because we don't have electronic voting, we have to do roll call. Half our meeting is roll call voting.
Okay.
From there, consent agenda, very straightforward. I've got a spicy presentation tonight, not too long, but it's interesting topic.
Shorten
And then we'll have a presentation with brevity for our commuter assistance program. Items 11, 1 through 11.5 are expected to be bundled.
Okay.
For a single vote, then you go into closed meeting for my evaluation. You weren't here for it, so it's either a learn or run. We
Time to leave.
But we may need you for quorum. I don't know, so be
Great.
cautious on that.
Hopefully there won't be a quorum, then I can go home.
and then the closed meeting, and then go from there. But of course, all the data is in the packet. This is Sharon's annotated copy,
Not a
and then you've
problem.
got one at your seat. Other very important operational issues. Next time you come, we'll give you a tour, but the most important thing
No, you
for you
won't.
tonight. Oh, come on, it's fun. We have pizza,
And salad.
we have salad. In this cabinet right here, after Carl's done adjusting to AD, we have Cokes, Diet Cokes, bottled water, and two other important things for you. You follow me.
Where's the bourbon?
Not allowed to have that. You do have, you are so inclined, our coffee machine is broken right now. Coffee. That's stuff, but.
Looks different from you. Excuse me. Well, we could all use a little bit of that. These are keys. The other refrigerator is not working. Don't know that. Chill in before it frozen.
It's warm.
It feels warm a little bit in here for me.
Does feel a little warm in here.
Is it at the,
It's working.
So
It's pretty hard.
trying to make it a point to bump up that volume like I was talking. So yeah, I can't crank it all the way up to get a lot of feedback, but I did turn up this,
I don't bump anything up. I don't know how to do
I'm
anything.
saying,
Oh, okay.
tell you that I did make a point
Oh,
to
okay.
turn it up some, so I think we've been kind of forgetting to do that
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody,
in the past, but,
yeah, we haven't even discussed it, so, and even though you told us.
well, Chris should have been doing it. I mean, so it's something you would do.
This morning, my computer wouldn't boot up on the first one. So I moved it to the second, booted right up. I took it out, put it in the first one, booted right up. I'm thinking I didn't have it in right or something. But I was
Because
like,
it was different, that
no,
would be a different problem, right?
right, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, no. But yeah. And that trust thing just. Gives me this like, your
You know,
trusted
I'm
module
not exactly sure
platform.
what that is, but there could be some sort of, the issue I have with it, it worked, I mean, Office and things worked before, but there could be kind of a trust between the license for Office 365 and kind of your system hard-coded
Oh,
computers.
or if it had anything to do with having the motherboard.
Right, but it worked initially.
Yes, it did,
Right,
it
so
did.
it's kind of
From each
Yeah.
plus, I believe, 4 from Prince William County.
So it was like, what?
4 jurisdictions.
4 jurisdictions and 9 elected
Humans.
officials.
John mentioned something about this monitor.
No, yeah, 9 humans.
Okay.
John mentioned something about this.
Why do I get the
monitor.
feeling that's not gonna happen tonight?
Fingers crossed.
Yes, I have 10 people who RSVP, so
Well, especially with our need to make a service change. The good news is technically anything that has to be done, the executive committee may act on behalf of the
It's
board,
like the longer,
in which then the item comes back to be ratified. So worst case
so the
scenario,
longer the day went, the worse it got.
So it's
we didn't
flash in
have
and out.
mission critical
It
services.
flashed off, and then you'd sit there, I mean, and the longer the day got, it's instead of being 2, 3, 4 seconds, it got 4, 5, 6 seconds. You know, it just seemed like a, you know, like a power supply, power source type thing. I don't know.
Well, I tried to tell John, but did it act like a thermal thing, warmer it got,
Exactly.
you know, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to keep an eye on, I mean, actually, I just saw it like,
It got worse as the day went on, and it wasn't like the ambient temperature in here wasn't like horrible.
you know, I just saw it, like, 'cause I was talking to Doris and am I seeing it flicking or not? So, since I,
So we set, you know, we'll come in and set up like and stuff, and so like the first hour and a half, and again, I'm sitting up there and I'm doing my thing, but I never noticed it. And then it seemed like after about 2 hours, that it just, like I
yeah,
said.
no, I just saw it again, so,
Yeah.
and we've been on for a couple hours.
That's what I was saying, it wasn't like immediately, so it wasn't one of those things where I think if you flipped it on, you would have saw it.
Right.
So, yeah, like a thermal thing.
Yeah, okay, well, it's doing it again, it'll probably do it for your next meeting, until I get it, I'm gonna have to get it fixed or replaced.
John was over here, and I sit up there. I think we're the only two that were really, you know, noticing.
No, yeah, I see it now. I think I told
Doesn't
him,
come right back.
Right, yeah, no, it's coming. I emailed him last week. I said, "Oh, I'm not seeing anything, but now I'll reply back. I see it now.
So it's just one of those, I mean, we'll keep an eye on it. I think we have a little bit of a benchmark, at least anecdotally.
Mhm.
So if we notice it's getting worse,
Right.
it's pausing for like 30 seconds or 40 seconds. I don't know. These have been here a couple of years.
So yeah, I'm hoping they're no warranty. They're not too
Yeah.
really expensive, but they're still kind of brand new,
I was gonna
right?
say,
Yeah.
and they've been in a, relatively good environment. and
Yeah.
stuff. They're out
Yeah,
of
hopefully
reach.
it's.
All they get is turned on, turned off, right?
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's what I know, buddy.
Okay, no, yeah, we got it.
Rich, who should I talk to get a list of your vendors that you've used?
Mean like a list out of,
Yeah, we're looking for vendors that are reliable and,
I mean, just like any kind of vendors.
Yeah.
Like a list,
yeah, this,
anybody that we.
this is our construction vendor, this is our electrical engineer or whatever, right?
Kristen.
Kristen?
K Nutter at VRE.org. K Nutter at VRE.org.
Okay,
And
That's the wrong pizza.
yeah, I mean, she may get somebody else to,
okay.
she's our director of purchasing.
Oh, perfect.
She would be the,
Yeah.
she would,
Yeah.
actually, she's probably got a list already.
Thank you very much, I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, Hawaiian. I ordered margarita.
Call back.
Is it doing it?
Yeah, it is. No, it's not because I'm taking, there it goes, it just did it.
You need to just set up your phone and let it record
No, I
for
just called it.
7 minutes. Oh,
See if I can catch two of them and it's good enough.
they gave me the wrong pizza. Now we don't have a vegetarian pizza.
Call them up, they probably get one here in 20 minutes.
Actually, you're right. Where did I put that out? I did it. I put my phone, oh, there it is. Not having pockets.
Coffee just finished brewing if you would like some supervisor.
Hi, yes, I had placed an order for 3 pizzas that were delivered, but one of the pizzas was wrong. I got a Hawaiian pizza and I had ordered margarita.
Our streak is broken. We had a missed trip this afternoon. We haven't gone this long without a missed trip in a year.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Is Sharon showing up?
Yes.
Oh,
She actually may be here.
This will be fine.
She may be here in the executive session for the evaluation process.
Sharon and I go way, way back,
How so?
both as adversary and as client.
You said adversary first alphabetically. How are you adversaries?
Oh, over some county issues.
Okay.
She was also our legal counsel in the fight against Dominion. or
Oh.
One of our legal counsels.
That's right. You were an active leader in that war.
Nobody's supposed to, well, everybody knows, but it's never,
That's the story I heard. How's that?
well, to be honest with you, she does know this. She wasn't the legal counsel at the time, but I'm the one who wrote the remand brief that got it kicked back to the hearing examiner from the 3-judge SEC panel that eventually led Dominion in settling. I literally wrote it on the deck in Corolla with a beer in one hand and a cup of coffee in the other, looking at the ocean. Because I was on vacation when they called and said, "You need to write this. Have the attorneys write it." No. So I plagiarized like 6 different remand briefs from different law firms.
Perfectly legal.
Cut and paste.
The one place plagiarism is allowed is in the law. In academics, it's encouraged so long as you footnote.
Now academics, it's a joke with ChatGPT and stuff now.
Mr. Worsky, how are you?
Great, how's it going?
It's going okay. Happy Friday Eve. If you're like me, you didn't think that day was ever going to get here. It's been that kind of a week.
Yes, fast.
Go outside and be off chance that Sharon shows up.
There's another pizza coming because they screwed up the order. I'm just letting you know, like, there was supposed to be a vegetarian option and they failed. So another pizza's on its way.
All right, I think I'll make do with these. I used to say spending our money on vegetarian options is fraud. Report them to the fraud, waste, and abuse hotline. Just super early or something. Seems like there's usually more people.
So the usual early arrivers are in the executive
Okay,
committee session.
what's going on?
So
Your senses were correct.
that combined with just low, we hope, quorum.
You're gonna-
Yeah, we messed things up by moving it to the second Thursday of the month. People are not used to that.
We sat
I don't
around
mean
this,
by we messed it up, but
we sat around this table and asked,
yeah, people are,
and we sent out the email to remind, we reminded them all at the, yeah.
Didn't we do that 6 months ago?
I'm used to going to MBTA on the second Tuesday, Thursday, so. Just a redirection.
Well, I would have preferred it to be last week, just because I was working. And I have a separate meeting tonight for my lodge. I'm the treasurer.
I felt compelled to go to NBTC last week, so even though I didn't have to.
Got a whole meeting.
Okay, sitting in the door now, your left.
Okay. You mean Jerry Garcia? You would agree with that? Good, how are you? Gentlemen, yes. Let's call it you very loosely. How you doing?
Sometimes that's how it has to go. Doing great, thank you.
Good, how are you? Man, I'll tell you, we're trying. Trying to do.
Going up track.
You are now.
Yeah, with the PRE with rubber wheels.
Exactly.
How we help each other out.
Yeah, of course. Those tractors just not working out. Exactly. You gotta go.
Which we just pave them over and put roads.
Amtrak leaving all that trash on the road.
Don't you have to just kind of push them out of the way or something?
I think it's a good idea.
Let the wheel people do their job.
Exactly. We're still,
Is that track just flawed? Because it seems like they've had a lot of incidents in that tunnel.
so. Two reasons. It's in the same interval. So it's not like this.
Yeah. It's just.
How you doing? There's a lot going on. So it's not the same. It's the same. I'm just joking.
It's like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not making.
No.
But I come here like, if you are, I think it's like easy. Won't let me. Well, see, I am so. Because I was, I've been in cars there. Not saying it's a good situation. So I
Also honest. Also honest. Sure is.
A lot less effort.
So I'm back to it's still classified. I was like, wow, like one little kid, like 3 and 4 years old, and then there's a bad case. So this, it hit the dirt.
Yeah, it looked like it was off the tracks. Oh, it's better than.
And I'm saying that because.
Yeah. Right.
So I'd rather. sit.
Yeah, yeah, because they had cleared it. And
And I was, I didn't have like and to be honest with you, I raised your name. So I'm like, if I'm too far up, you could have been. See?
Got trouble?
Seeing that. He knows.
It just shows.
Oh, of course.
I don't think you'll pressure.
Well, I always thought that they were gonna say.
Yeah.
Say something. So in the front, I was like, let me act right.
It may be.
If I don't act right, he's gonna call me out in front of everybody.
Let you know.
By the end of August. I heard about
I mean, it's relatively so steep, but it's got so much mass. And so much.
Yeah, you.
Martinez, right? Look me up, man.
Yeah, he does like this.
I was trying to find it and I was removed.
Several ton vehicle.
Yeah, he is the skull and crossbow guy.
Yeah, I was certainly.
They can't even make.
Oh, that
one.
Yeah, I did that.
It's still. incomplete.
Yeah,
I'm. No, but I hear. I was expecting the other. Some portion of the meeting, that's always.
So is anything, if the.
I mentioned it to.
Sure.
It's
not like I'm not sure what triggered that.
It's on that threshold, right?
I was like, well, that's what kind of sounds like, well, you want to start driving your little buses.
It seems like a waste.
Particularly in the term. Maybe in terms of just like, if we're just aware of this, just, yeah, it's like the recommendation.
Yeah.
We're pretty.
We figure out.
Yeah.
So you have.
I saw your text.
Okay.
I mean, it makes sense.
We
for
help
them
us
to
out.
coordination, like, hey, it's not-
Hi, Jillian Kinder, nice to meet you.
That's our
No, it's all good. It's too hot out there to be doing anything.
It's a lower, yeah, so.
Yeah, that's what.
Small.
Oh, yeah. As soon as we walked inside, we were just like, man, so much better.
There was a whole huge, yeah.
That's one of them. Good luck.
I know I'm not.
And obviously, no one wants to.
Then they can't tell because you got some.
That's right. I was there.
So it's just like the movie.
Yeah, a movie or an event. That you
Literally just gets
one of these.
They will stay there for days.
That means.
But Penny's just.
Yeah.
Oh, he got you.
You probably did something wrong.
It's Saturday.
Okay, good.
That's what I meant. I was like, gosh, you did something. Hey, Mike. How you got? Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just-
Yeah. I didn't get a chance to.
Yeah, that's good.
It's good. Finally,
I can call.
when did you leave? I left in
Okay.
2015, so it's mid.
I just don't think it's gonna be a priority.
Yeah, I used
Oh, I left. When did you leave? But I got there in 2007, October 2007.
People are people.
That's when I mean,
You only live in.
yeah.
You were there for all that.
Yeah, so, well,
Hi, how are you?
We already met. I still have like, but no, you'll. What are you doing here? Oh, okay.
Wow.
Oh, that'd be crazy.
I don't know, right?
Well, that's our game then, that we have now here.
Right?
There's. Yeah, absolutely.
Then like, but I'm watching it all every month.
I'm sorry, I just need to go, when I was in. Part of my job.
Sometimes you want me to meet them.
On the camera. Well, I've read an article. Trials, you know, Godfather too.
Yes.
So they weren't allowed to show their faces, so what the camera guys did was they would show. I would zoom in on people's hands.
Oh, I love it.
And it, yeah.
That's why you recognize all the rings.
but it's Gwen, so we have to like people with, as they get nervous, I had the little headset on with the cans and I zoom in on their hands. Why are you showing their hands? They're nervous, you can tell.
Right?
They're shredding napkins, holding a pen.
You could like,
You're calm, you're like this.
was it in enough detail you could like see the sweat on their hands?
Not that, it was the 90s.
Ah.
So no HD, yeah, no HD. So the other thing that happened, just been hired as a paratransit director, so I got.
Where is everybody?
Or this, they're saying that.
Hi, George. How are you doing?
This is the.
Good to see you.
Well, they met the.
I was leaving,
They record this and then they show it Sunday nights, public access, like 8 o'clock every Sunday. It's only and they Thanksgiving.
So what's next?
I was on TV, so the same exact speech. My fellow grads used to be like, my mom and dad were flipping the house, so I went to see her channel. She stopped and goes, "You're on TV." I said, "Come back in a week."
You'll find something.
I forget you.
Yeah.
At the end of 19. I'm probably gonna sad, it's crazy, but yeah. Wonderful. We don't, I thought it was way sounding on the coast. But nobody really, went out there. She just got was sick for a while.
Okay, yeah, that's why I wanted to.
Yeah.
And it's weird because she shoots the video and I put that because the ear outreach training, it might not.
Christine always takes care of the beverage.
So it just really gives.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I know, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're on summer recess, which really means you do all the things that you couldn't do when you had all the board meetings. Yeah.
One of the things that we're going to do before the September meeting is we're actually gonna send out a list of. At Independence Day through the September board meeting, send in their vacation pictures.
Oh, okay, well,
Were you
I will
at-
not have a vacation, you can have pictures of me not being here.
Fair enough. Well, maybe if you end up by the lake, send a picture of, you know.
I will travel to
Yeah,
the local
we're
beaches
trying
and
to-
take a picture. and say-
Yeah.
And I may even send in some of
Push
mine.
it, can't keep getting.
I took a vacation with my family before I decided to start actively campaigning that way, we had time together, so.
Well, we will use that.
Yeah, I'll get those, I have it on my phone,
I
actually.
have an
Once I know for
extended
sure, I'll
vacation slash work from home. She
Yeah.
moved out to Montana, retired from business in Asheville and relocated.
Usually lives in my neighborhood.
I'm taking the motorbike.
Montana's not near Asheville.
No, it's not, and I certainly know that because I'm riding out there.
But they got a lot of mountains in both places, so.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So I'm riding out through Colorado to get to West Yellowstone, Montana.
Okay, yeah, he lives in my neighborhood, too, so we have a couple of
Get
transportation
there, then I'm
people
gonna
that
set
are
up to work from home. It's a quiet period for us overall.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna go up to the Canadian Rockies. With a friend up there. And I'm coming back over the Great Lakes.
That's exciting.
10,000 total miles.
Yeah.
I did that.
On a motorcycle?
So we can start taking more routes.
What we did, we made this perfect road. We had,
Hey, what's up?
Yeah. $9.
Nine.
The very. How
Yeah, exactly.
And we invented a. And our son had the second.
Yeah.
And he's very slow. He could keep all his stuff anyway. And our daughter was very messy. So she was in taxi.
And I'm camping my way out there. There's a thing called buckling, which motorcyclists give up, live in their house with fellow motorcyclists, so it's a stranger Airbnb kind of thing. Money changes hands, or you just set up a tent. It's got your life.
Well, that's the thing, anything in Reston, Tyson, or any suburb. You can convince someone to leave their car behind and take a bus, and All right. No, that one does not.
Right.
So if you're in a.
He comes every week.
How are you?
Getting upstairs.
Yeah.
Well, I'm wearing a wool jacket.
Thank you. How's it going?
Follow me.
Going fantastic.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Get to the next meeting. Isn't that exciting? I know you're excited.
On the 90-degree day, I try not to wear anything with long sleeves, so I just like this jacket on. So not that
Jesus.
No,
I understand. That's our life. I'm issue on the. We can always just call. We can always just call you.
Yes, I was gonna ask for.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but no, it's very intense.
well, next year we'll know, we'll make it earlier. Work expense.
Hello, everybody.
under control.
Hey, this is Gallo,
I
yeah.
don't know about that.
Doing good.
Hey, how are you, darling?
So on 8.
I'll be-
Oh, we got 9?
Sorry, I couldn't make it to your meeting.
We do, but.
We don't have meetings.
Ms. Rachel. I couldn't, no, I couldn't. We're sweating once Ms. Rachel is in the room.
Oh, okay, all right, we got 4.
Tom came, he said it was a very good discussion.
Oh, very
Oh, yeah, oh, sorry, I didn't know.
Yeah, I was looking.
Very nice.
Okay. We're just waiting,
Do we want to do that?
Squat down.
Okay, if you get a second, we'll get by.
About an hour.
I know I have.
Hey, how are you? Did you get my voicemail?
I did.
Wonderful.
Can you go back to like getting to work?
So.
I mean, you all are.
Do is get supervisor. Mayor Vice, excuse me, Mayor Richard.
I guess all,
Those are the,
I'm the kids. They used to push that in us like crazy.
What was that? It was, they always did stop dropping. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, folks.
It's up to you to wait for Sharon. Your call whether you wait for her or not. There she is. Doesn't matter.
All right.
Got quorum.
Good evening, everyone. I want to call this meeting to order at 7:06. PRT is live streaming the meeting on PRTC's YouTube channel. This information was posted on PRTC's website, Facebook page, and at both facilities. Mr. Byron Lloyd, Director of Safety and Security, to provide a safety message.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Today, our safety message is beware of the stale green light. The stale green light refers to that green light that we see from a distance as we're approaching an intersection. And what goes through our head, and I know this is everybody, is I hope I make it, I hope I make it, I hope I make it. Then at the last minute, it turns. And we either slam on our brakes or we speed through the intersection, which poses risk. Rear end collision or colliding with somebody in the intersection. So there's a couple things that you can do to avoid that, which is one, cover your brake when you're approaching with the anticipation that it might change. You can also scan for the cross traffic and look at the lanes to see if there's multiple vehicles there, which is a good indicator that that light has been green for a while. So you can, again, get ready. The other way of looking at it is most of our intersections have crosswalk countdowns. for pedestrians. So when you see that down to 4 or 5, that's your indication that it's getting ready to change. So just be mindful of that. And as you approach stale green lights, just be aware of that and just be safe every time you approach it. Thank you.
Thank you, man. That was actually very beneficial. All right. Okay, let's stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Ms. Wendigo, please call.
Peter Angry,
Here.
Andrea Bailey. Present. Kenny Bodie, Margaret Franklin. Here. Jenny Lawson, Bob Weir.
Here.
Karen Mills, Kim Short, Yesley Vega, Ann Wheeler, Tanisha Allen, Monica Gary. Here. Meg Bumpy, Pamela Young, Pamela Sadetsky. Here. Rob Smith.
Here.
Jeanette Richel. Here. Alana Mensing, Daryl Moore, Matthew Kelly, Jason Graham, Deborah Frazier, Lori Hayes, Tim McLaughlin, David Ross, Jennifer DeBrule, Todd Horsley.
Here.
Grant Sparks, Elizabeth Guzman. Here. And George Barker.
Here, while you were looking down.
Mr. Chairman, we do have a quorum.
All right, outstanding. Hey, before I get into approval agenda, I do want to recognize and acknowledge Commissioner Ware.
Oh,
Is with us. Yes, sir. So good to have you.
that's my best wishes.
Good to have you, sir.
Away from Haymarket.
Oh, that's right. And we running tight around here. Okay, so can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Bodie, second by Commissioner Bailey. Let's see, where am I at? Anybody has any changes you'd like to make to that? Okay, hearing none, let's call for vote.
Victor Angry.
Aye.
Andrea Bailey.
Aye.
Kenny Bodie.
Aye.
Margaret Franklin.
Aye.
Bob Weir.
Aye.
Monica Gary.
Aye.
Pamela Sadetsky.
Aye.
Jeanette Richel.
Yes.
Todd Horsley.
Yes.
Elizabeth Guzman. Here. George Barker.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion's approved.
Thank you, ma'am. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. You caught the names? Okay,
Bailey Gary.
all right.
Victor Angry.
Aye.
Andrea Bailey.
Aye.
Kenny Bodie.
Aye.
Margaret Franklin.
Aye.
Bob Weir.
Abstain.
Monica Gary.
Aye.
Pamela Sadetsky.
Aye.
Jeanette Richel.
Yes.
Todd Horsley.
Yes.
Elizabeth Guzman.
Yes.
George Barker.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion's approved.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Dalton, sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, commission members, others, good evening. I do have, you have our CEO report in your package. Let me just give you a couple little updates for the month of June. Our total ridership was up slightly over the month of May. Average daily ridership right about 6,300. But another significant increase and something we've been working on the last couple of months is to get our system performance up, and our system performance was up to 88%. You recall over the past several months, I've been riding about 85%, so that was up as well. So just wanted to highlight that. The other, I did want to bring up, and I know I've communicated with a lot of you throughout the week. Tuesday morning at Washington Union Station, there was an Amtrak train derailment. Yes, we did get caught up into that. It was right in the middle of our AM service. We had about 8 consets or 8 train sets that had already made it through the terminal. Which meant when the First Street Tunnel closed down, we had about 5 consets on the south side. So essentially, our equipment was trapped up there for the last couple of days. So we have slowly been recovering from that. We've operated a limited service. I took the 5 consets and we became very creative on trying to get service on both lines. I commend our host railroad, CSX and Norfolk Southern. They decided, hey, anything you guys need to do will help support that. So today we did operate a S schedule, and I'm still trying to get equipment back to our maintenance and storage facilities. Bottom line plan is to operate a full schedule tomorrow. our Fair Free Friday. But I do want to thank, of course, the Omni Ride team and stuff here who obviously helped us out, took our passengers on board Omni Ride buses as an alternative for them. And so we're grateful for that. And others, there's others within the region that helped us out tremendously as well. So, Mr. Chair, I just want to make that point, and we do have an action item on the agenda.
All right, and thank you for that, Mr. Don. So I do have one action item, resolution to approve and authorize the BRE CXO to submit BRE projects to MBTA for FY 2024 to 2029 6-year program funding considerations.
So move.
Second.
I have motion, Commissioner Franklin, second, Commissioner Bodie. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call for vote.
Victor Angry.
Aye.
Andrew Bailey.
Aye.
Kenny Bodie.
Aye.
Margaret Franklin.
Aye.
Bob Weir.
Aye.
Monica Gary.
Aye.
Pamela Sadowski.
Aye.
Jeanette Richel.
Yes.
Todd Horsley.
Yes.
Elizabeth Guzman.
Yeah.
George Barker.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion's approved.
I don't have a question for Mr. Dalton, but I do have a comment. We had a wonderful groundbreaking ceremony this morning in Manassas Park for our new and upcoming BRE parking garage. So I want to thank Rich for attending, and I want to thank the BRE for being very supportive throughout the entire process. It's been a few years, so thank you.
A lot of folks involved in that. There's as I said this morning, a whole host of the different alphabet organizations and stuff. And it's taken, about 8 years to get to this point. So I can assure you the construction will go. How's that? So mark my words.
I'd like to make a comment if I do. I just want to thank you. I understand that VRE is getting ready to power wash the entire Manassas garage, which is way important, and we really appreciate that being taken care of. So thank you to you and your organization.
And thank you for allowing us to do that on the weekend. It was important. We're doing it inside and out. A couple years ago, we did a similar thing to the Woodbridge garage, and it really turned out really nice. So thank you for the support there.
All right.
That's the end of my report, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Y'all stay safe.
Moving on to public comment time. I see a lot of new faces. I don't know if anybody's a speaker, but I'll just go ahead and tell you. Public comment time is limited to 3 minutes per person. There will be no discussion on any of the comments received or questions asked. Now, do we have any written, I see you handed out.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, 2 people submitted written comments, and the comments and our responses to those people are at everyone's place on the table.
So do I have anyone in the room that would like to address the commission? Anyone? Anyone? I just want to come to the I know. All right. Okay, so consent agenda, we have quite a few. 1, 2, 3, 4 items on consent agenda. And I believe I can
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda.
There we go. Okay, I got a motion for consent agenda. Second. What is that? Supervisor Garrett. Third.
We said at the same time.
Okay. So Commissioner Barker, we will give him the second. Barker has the second. All right, call for the vote.
Victor Angry.
Aye.
Andrew Bailey.
Aye.
Kenny Bodie.
Aye.
Margaret Franklin.
Aye.
Bob Weir.
All right.
Monica Gary.
Aye.
Pamela Sadowski.
Aye.
Jeanette Richel.
Yes.
Todd Horsley.
Yes.
Elizabeth Guzman. Yeah. George Barker.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion's approved.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Steiner, the floor is yours.
Thank you. First items, I would like to introduce our new staff member, our contract specialist working with the Omni Ride Finance Department, specifically within procurement under the fine tutelage of Ms. Cynthia Porter Johnson, who you're recognized from the many mentoring classes that she helps leads, but Victoria Insisime. Victoria, if you'll. Lots of contracts. So therefore, they have to be managed and maintained and re-procured. So the one person show that is Cynthia, along with all of our federal compliance, is simply not enough. But that's the joy of also bringing in all that federal money. So that's another story. I also have 2 awards to give tonight for our above and beyond. The first is Ms. Myra Rivas, our operations manager with Keolis. so many people are here is to to support those employees that are getting some recognition. I'll read the nomination as presented, and in addition to the pin, the plaque, and parking space, Keolis has provided her a check, which is a really important part. But I'll read this. Myra was nominated by Parent Palestran for the Above and Beyond Award to express our appreciation for her hard work and dedication to working to stabilize operations for our system. Faced numerous challenges over the past several months, but Myra has stepped in and stepped up and made a notable difference in how we operate service. Her focus has been on reliability and dependability. Her honest assessment of resources allowed us to immediately stabilize service in the spring, operating only what we knew we could. Customers have made note of this, and call volume has dropped tremendously as a result. She's earned the respect of staff from both Keolis and PRTC. In addition, a few weeks ago, she was able to prevent a significant impact in operations by reallocating operators to cover runs as many of the OmniRide family were celebrating Eid al-Adha. So we have a large international workforce for diverse religious beliefs, and we almost got caught flat-footed. If she had not done that, it would have been a critical disruption to our operation. She worked tirelessly to call operators, supervise, and say, hey, we have to step up and get things done. Extra shifts were made and provided as much service as possible. Thank you, Myra. You're hiring. So we can get the pictures.
We like photos.
We love photo ops. So this is for you. These are the wonderful things that parents said about you.
Photos.
Oh, yep, we got a picture.
Let me see. Congratulations.
You got a pin for your manager. The most important check.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Stay standing, Mr. Chairman. This person, she's gotten lots of awards before, recognition, et cetera, genuinely appreciated. But Ms. Althea Evans, OmniRide's Director of Marketing, while her team also did great work in this endeavor, they also did receive some admin leaves. They worked their butts off, so we gave them an extra day to a little bit of bonus as well. But Althea had a vision for our senior summit. Transit systems normally don't lead a senior-focused event in a community, especially when you have a robust county. And Althea not only had a vision, she executed. I hope you saw the pictures early on. We had a great display and rotation of the hundreds of people that came out to visit. Althea, come on up for your above and beyond. A fantastic job. Tons and tons of people came out. Such an impact in the community. And it's the kind of thing that doesn't just help for a day. We're talking about safety, avoiding, you gotta get in the middle. Content included crime prevention. We had Prince William Police, AARP were there to talk about cyber crimes, we had transportation options, as well as we all did Tai Chi together. Outstanding work. Thank you. We know it's the pin, and you don't get a check. It's called direct deposit. So.
Best part.
As for service updates, as you know, we've had some ongoing service-related performance issues. Going back to Thanksgiving 2022, if you remember, we even had a presentation at our December board meeting, and when we had the event at the Western facility, we had to fall back to the Pentagon. Didn't have enough employees to functionally operate in DC. We had to delay our service change in January. Then we had a 4-week strike. So that was also a very big challenge. And we actually never fully implemented all the routes for restoration. We ended up instead making it to June for our service change. So, you know, with all of those issues and concerns, we've had lower service levels, but we still could not make pull-out consistently. It would not be abnormal to miss 10 to 15 trips a day due to just not available workforce or mechanical issues. This has not been something new. It's something we had discussed extensively with Keolis. And it's really continually discussed with the local and national staff, but unfortunately a little change over the past 12 months. Using the available terms of the contract, I notified the Keolis Chief Operating Officer through the responsible senior manager for our property of significant contractual financial penalties that we would be levying due to poor performance and response. I was then formally notified this week that the Keolis General Manager, Barbara Murdoch, and her Region Vice President, Mr. Mike Egg, who's spoken before this group before, had been removed from the project, and that Tricia Mumford, the startup General Manager from summer and fall 2020, would return with a new Region Vice President, Mr. Dwayne Eskerka. Ms. Mumford is the former General Manager of Loudoun County Transit, so if you've worked in the contracting world or just the transit world up here, you recognize that name. She's very familiar with not only the contracting side of what we do, she knows the DC region. They have both local and commuter service. And of course, had familiarity with the contract and its terms from being the startup manager. Mr. Eskerka has worked in the transit contracting world for 25 plus years, has experience in Atlanta, Las Vegas, San Diego, and many other locations as a region vice president. He and I worked together at Transdev many moons ago. He was Southern California region, I was Northern California region. So our interaction was mainly at a corporate level, but he has now been assigned as the region vice president, at least for the near term, as they work to get things addressed and corrected. Mr. Eskerka, do you want to share any thoughts?
Thank you. Appreciate that. Chair, commissioners, first time here, so I don't know if I'm referring to you properly as commissioners or directors. So excuse me. These are a lot more fun when you're doing well. When you're not doing well, you have to come here and take the responsibility. For the past year, the service has, or the quality of the service has diminished and has not met your standards. We have provided a tremendous amount of resources to this project, none of which met the challenge. Therefore, we had to make some additional changes here. Dr. Snyder introduced Trish. We're pretty excited. She's an experienced, seasoned general manager and is already making a very positive impact, not only operationally, but I think in as far as it relates to our team in general. We have what we're doing right now this week anyway. We're deep diving in just about every process and assessing how we do things, our people, our approach to the challenges that we're facing. It's not just limited to operations. It could be maintenance. It's whatever metric we're not meeting your standards on. And those are our standards as well, by the way. I think there's only one other comment I wanted to make. Sincerely, and I expressed this in a meeting earlier today, that the opportunity that the OmniRide staff is providing us to try and fix this, or not try, but will fix this. We extend our sincere thanks. They have offered all the resources necessary to assist us in this recovery. And I just want to say thank you to that. So if you have any questions immediately, like I said, I've only been here for about 4 days now. If there's anything I can answer. Yes, ma'am.
I'll just say, welcome to Prince William. I'm not sure if you've worked here before, but would love to spend some time with you and Dr. Schneider to kind of understand some of the challenges that Keolis has been facing, what appears to be a little bit of time over the past several months or maybe even longer. Obviously, bus service is critical to this particular region, especially as more and more people go back to work. We have a robust local service. And then, of course, our commuter service is picking up, and all of this, but I think it's all the more important to really understand what some of those challenges are, because we don't want to regress. We need to make sure that we're continuing to pick up riders. And if there are challenges that conflict with that goal, we all need to be aware of what those things are and really how we as a commission can be more supportive towards those efforts as well. So welcome, and looking forward to sitting down with you and Dr. Schneider to understanding these issues more.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Supervisor Bailey, Commissioner Bailey.
Yes, ma'am.
And I also want to echo what my colleague has said, welcome. And you'll find that this is a friendly group, a very intentional group. And whatever we need to do to make transitions either smoother or more robust, of course. Please, you can depend on us, but welcome. And Thank you for the 4 days thus far.
Thank you.
Well, I'll just simply say you jumped on a treadmill, that's that 10.0. Got it. You're on it, but guess what? We're gonna pick that pace up and we're gonna be all right. So, but welcome to
I've
both.
missed a few days on that, but I'll get to it. So a couple of items, the May ridership dashboard, which is in your packet, shows very positive ridership for our local service. Fortunately, we had very, very robust growth out of our western footprint, which prevented us from having a backslide in ridership for the first time since the pandemic in commuter service, mainly tied to the struggles with operations. However, the most stunning increase has been about a 35% ridership boost on our local service in Eastern Prince William. So services are up. There only one went down by like 210 people. And that was our Western service in Manassas, but that is tied to the shift away to micro transit, which we're serving more people, but they're riding differently. So instead of making bus transfers, things like that, we're taking them direct place. So very positive in that regard. The Sunday service especially is making the biggest difference in Eastern Prince William because it's inducing demand. You look at our trends, we all as a staff predicted that once we brought in Sunday service, our Saturday service would decrease. Our Saturday service went up. We're available 7 days a week. It's being used more. And if you drive through this community, especially on the eastern part of the county, you will see people sitting and standing at bus stops all the time. It is not just here and there. Driving down Dale Boulevard Monday morning, there were 7 shelters in a row that had 1 to 2 people sitting in or standing in waiting for the service. That is the indicator that we are winning, and that is great news. So the hard work of the OmniRide planning staff to adjust services for June 5th brought increased reliability due to some retime traffic patterns, which is even changing in DC over summer. We've had to retime them again. We added some clock face schedules and we then had demand for fewer operators by decreasing volumes and frequencies, balancing budget. Well, the start of the new change was quite challenging for operational pullout. The good news is the consistent effort in trying to get an operational foothold through service has showed a preliminary June increase of about 10% over May. So where May was kind of status quo for our commuter service, we've seen a 10% bump since then, which is great. The commuter service ended the fiscal year on an overall high note, and the overall total ridership for Peter Bus will come in right around 950,000 passengers. We would have surpassed the 1 million passenger mark for the first time since the pandemic, but we did have the 4-week strike, which disrupted that. It would have been over 1 million. Local bus ridership, again, very strong. Average daily ridership increased about 4% from May, over last June. That's not right, over May, I apologize. However, what is noteworthy, even with the month-long strike, local ridership was up more than 35% over last year. Local ridership is exploding, and that is the message. The data we're seeing that is, when I first arrived, it was 70 to 75% of residents left Prince William County to go to work. The new data is that it's below 50%. More people are staying home for employment. So it really talks about the blending of employment along with commuter-based services. So it's a great number to have for us. System-wide ridership is topping out at about 1.5 million. Again, with 2/3 of that being our commuter long-haul service and emphasis on restoring operational excellence, I am confident we'll finally pull out of the challenges of the last 3 years with the pandemic. So the next year is very bright. A sign of that is our new buses are beginning to arrive. 3 of our new 4 Gillig transit buses that'll be used in local service arrived this past week. 1 is due this coming week. And we'll have our MCI commuter buses that are a reminder that even though we're buying new, where we might have bought 10, we're buying 6. So we're right sizing as we go. So it's not just replacing 1 for 1, but the MCI buses should start arriving the last week of July. Please, if you have your calendar handy, save the morning of August 22nd, if so inclined. We're going to do a new bus ribbon cutting at the Western facility in Manassas so that those employees can celebrate and enjoy. We usually do those here, but we'll be doing that at the Western facility. Again, that's August 22nd. 2 other items out of brevity. We had a very productive VDOT meeting regarding possible improvements to the Horner Road commuter lot. We met with their maintenance department. In addition, Karen and I are working and made a proposal to DRPT to possibly utilize some funds to do some rehabilitation work at the Dale City commuter lot on Gemini. It's kind of a long lost lot tucked in a location, but as we look at density and development, more and more is occurring. And with the expansion or the widening of Minnieville Road with the Quartz District coming in, that becomes a more robust downtown area. And we want to do some different things that would make that really augment that service and really grow that that gem of a park and ride lot, no pun intended on gem and I. And then finally, we did have a zero emissions bus lunch and learn, held by parent. As you know, we did our ZEB study. We had our workshop on zero emissions buses, but we really wanted to give our staff a chance to understand the technology. It's complex. And Dash was kind enough to bring a bus down from Alexandria, even though a lot of our staff see the bus, they don't have a chance to climb inside of it or understand it. So along with our partner, Sunny Merriman, who provides our smaller vehicles for paratransit, microtransit, they brought an electric vehicle along, which is of particular interest because that is likely going to be our first jump into the waters of electric vehicles. So with that, Mr. Chair, that is my report. I will just point out there was an industry article about the Amazon effect for Seattle traffic and what that might mean for us as Amazon opens its headquarters.
I mean, we do not want to be Seattle. Okay, so we're gonna have and thank you for that.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if I may, please, I just want to thank Dr. Bob for your wonderful ribbon cutting that you had in Dumfries. Here, the last couple of weeks, I saw the pictures, my staff was there, I was not there.
Yes, Karen, it was great.
It was absolutely great and she enjoyed it, so thank you for your support. Of course.
Okay, so we got Lucas Muller from Kimley Horn. He's gonna give us a presentation on the update commuter assistance program strategic plan. And we will be asking for approval of that later. So after presentation, we'll move on and then we'll get to that approval. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lucas Muller with Kimley Horn. Have had the pleasure of working with the folks at OmniRide for the past 10 or so years. And work on a lot of multimodal transit planning projects throughout Northern Virginia in the greater DC area. Today, we're going to briefly walk through our efforts thus far on the Commuter Assistance Program Strategic Plan. This is an effort to outline the future of OmniRide's commuter assistance programs. And so we'll talk about a little bit about what went into that and a brief on the recommendations. So today, the first thing that people think of when they think of OmniRide, likely about the bus service. But when we talk about commuter assistance programs, a lot of additional strategies and programs available to help people make the use of that transit service, make the use of the infrastructure through ride sharing, van pooling, carpooling, walking and biking. OmniRide offers ride matching services, assistances to start and maintain van pools, and a lot of really an increasing amount of community outreach. The mobility councils, which launched in the past year or two, have been great ways to engage with members from the Hispanic community, larger employers out in the county, as well as van pool providers. Also a lot of customer facing alerts and mobile applications to help with service. And OmniRide also offers something you may not know is on-the-go travel training for people that are maybe new to the community or not familiar with transit, as well as youth and community engagement like the senior event that was just mentioned. So the Commuter Assistance Program Strategic Plan, this is an opportunity to identify what the future, looking at about a 5-year timeframe of what those strategies could be. This is a requirement by the Virginia Department of Rail and Public Transportation to receive future funding. And in order to receive funding for future programs, making sure that there is a data-driven development of those strategies. So we are at the final stages of that progress. We've developed our goals and objectives. We've conducted our data assessment. We've had an opportunity to brief both those mobility councils I mentioned, as well as have a stakeholder meeting with representatives from the local jurisdictions, from community organizations, and from regional and state entities as well, and get some really good feedback. Tonight, as the chair mentioned, we are seeking your adoption of this plan. To start, to make sure we're measuring success in the right place, we developed a set of 4 draft goals. These were informed by both OmniRide's strategic plan as well as local jurisdictions, comprehensive and other transportation plans. The common themes you see here really relying on and trying to promote multimodal travel options, building partnerships through the community, helping to grow the livelihood and vitality of our region, and really building on those progressive engagement efforts that OmniRide has been doing and growing those additionally. Next slide. So this is a really interesting map. These lines and dots, this is showing the travel patterns of people who live in Prince William County, Manassas Park, where they are going for their work trips. So you see the clusters in the western and the eastern portions of the county. You see some of those shorter concentrations of trips around the Manassas Park area, around the Potomac Mills area. But then if you look at those longer, thinner lines, very much aligned with OmniRide's commuter bus service going to DC. You see some dots in Tysons, in Dunloring, even up to Reston, Herndon, and along the I-95 and I-66 corridor. So that data piece of bringing in those travel patterns to understand where we are targeting this messaging and the programs to make sure that we're being effective with our outreach is a really important input into this process. So the next slide. The other piece that was important is, again, making sure that the strategies that we identified are targeted at the right geographies and individuals. We don't want to just send out a blanket email to the entire county telling them about all the services that the county offers. We really want to be focused. And so based on population density, we identified 4 target markets and then developed strategies that relate to these. So you can see the darker, the more dense areas. These are where we kind of crafted those loose boundaries to identify different markets in terms of population. Next step on the next slide is to look at what options are available in those markets. So for example, the ones on the I-95 corridor, we don't want to be telling them about the Manassas commuter service, right? We want to understand what park and ride lots they have, what OmniRide express bus service they might have, connections to VRE, and really hone in those options. The county and the area have a really wide range of potential mobility options, whether that be the park and ride lots, the express routes, the rail service, carpooling, vanpooling options. So a lot of options there, but a big element of the commuter assistance program is making sure that people are aware of those and know how to use them. We also want to make sure that we are focusing in on equity related to our strategies here. So the MWCOG, that's the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments, they had developed a equity emphasis areas throughout the greater DC region based on an income and race and ethnicity index. So that was shown, and we're capturing almost all of those areas with our target markets here. And focusing those in as we develop our strategies as well. So there's a lot more data and analysis and graphs to dive into if you're interested, that is in the draft plan that's in your packet. But to highlight some of the key highlights from that, challenges not unfamiliar to you all, but that the commuting patterns here focused on lots of other parts of Northern Virginia and DC. As Dr. Schneider mentioned, we're seeing more and more people staying in Prince William, but obviously there's also large demands to other areas of Northern Virginia and DC that can make it hard to effectively target people when they're not all necessarily going to the same place. When we talk about promoting options within the county, there's ample free parking everywhere, a lot of places within the county and within the area, which make transit a little bit of a harder sell. While OmniRide does have great transit frequency and coverage in a lot of areas, the county and the cities, not all of the geography is covered. And lastly, like I mentioned, getting out the word broadly and clearly about those services and how to use them, very important and easier said than done. With that being said, we'll go back 1 second. There are lots of opportunities out there in terms of the park and ride lot as express lanes, especially on I-66 with the new express lanes, opportunities for clear and reliable bus service, leveraging the communities for partnerships as well and funding sources. I'm going to briefly go through the recommendations here. And these are kind of the key elements of the plan that go forward. So first, strengthening data collection and distribution. These questions, these seemingly simple questions, where's my bus? Where do people get on or off the bus? Those are a lot harder to understand than we might think. And we really want to work together to make sure we have accurate information about that and it is distributed effectively to the customers. Next slide. The second one is about consolidating mobile applications. So in the past few years, OmniRide's made great strides in terms of getting apps up and running. There are applications out there about locating the bus, paying for the bus, and as well as the new microtransit service. A longer term vision is to be able to have these combined into one single, easy to use one-stop shop for the customer. It will make it easier for both OmniRide on the back end to manage as well as the user. So we see that as an important element there. Next slide. Van pool programs, van pooling on the I-95 corridor, one of the most robust in the country. Van Pool Alliance offers a lot of options there. Commuter Connections from MWCOG also has developed an inflexible van pooling program. So with people not always going into the office 5 days a week or maybe needing a ride, that's a program there. OmniRide will benefit from helping to support and continue to promote these programs as options, especially on the I-66 corridor where that market for van pooling is less developed. This is where we pivot a little bit to the community and the outreach material. So this first one is a two-part strategy with the next one. This is really about creating audience-specific marketing materials. I mentioned really trying to understand, focus on the target community where we are working with. But maybe that's college students, maybe that's Spanish speakers, maybe that's a large employer. Really finding out what's most relevant for them and creating materials for them that are targeted to that. It goes along with the next one on the next slide in terms of expanding and strengthening those efforts. Like I mentioned, a lot of exciting community events that are happening, but there's only so much limited time and staff. We want to be able to expand that and coordinate with more community groups that are really asking for additional engagement and understanding of the transit services. The next one's about mobility councils. I mentioned this has been a success. OmniRide's convened these groups of community partners, the Hispanic Council, the Van Pool Council, as well as the Employer Council, and really helping to try to build some champions to help OmniRide gain more members, gain more momentum, and help promote this through additional community members. So kind of building from the structure that OmniRide has created, identifying some more champions, and trying to have people take a little bit more of the ownership role in those councils. The next one is about a advertisement and promotion campaign specifically focused on the I-66 commuter lots and the services that are associated with them. These are relatively new lots that just opened. There's lots of bus service that's there. There's lots of space to park. I'm sure people are noticing the expensive tolls on I-66. A great way to avoid those is riding the bus or getting in a carpool or van pool. And we see, especially with so many new people coming to the area, there's really an opportunity to create a targeted marketing and promotion campaign for these lots and the services that are associated with them. The next one is one that is also on the agenda for tonight, and OmniRide's looking forward to getting started with this. This is establishing a best workplaces for commuters program. This is something that a nationwide program that began in Florida and has had success and really creates an opportunity to recognize local employers and help give them information for their employees about what their transportation options are. So the employees are benefiting, the employers are benefiting from being able to be called a best workplace for a commuter, getting to promote that and help retain employees and attract people who may want to use non-auto modes to get to work. So that will be starting, that beginning of that program will be starting shortly. And if you know of community or employers that may be interested, definitely send them our way. And finally, this is one that's very critical. OmniRide and Prince William County DOT have been working very closely on first and last mile connections. We hear a lot about this, especially in the areas where maybe the bus stops aren't as accessible, or there may be gaps in sidewalks. Especially around rail stations and parking ride lots, we want to make sure that there are pedestrian and bicycle connections. And so continuing to do that and to integrate OmniRide into the development process with Prince William County, so that if a new big development's coming online, we're making sure that there is transit associated with that, and we're thinking intentionally about that from the beginning of the process. So that is a rapid fire version of the recommendations that are in the plan. We had a great stakeholder meeting last week with members of state, regional, local, and private entities. We did a little prioritization exercise. The ones that have the numbers closest to the right are the ones that were the highest priority for those stakeholders. So supporting first and last mile connections, strengthening data collection, and those outreach efforts. But generally some pretty strong support across the board. The mobility councils that we meant to, Holly has already, those happened 2 weeks ago. Holly's already had one meeting and set up, I think, 2 more with community groups. One was ACTS Prince William, which is a nonprofit that supports domestic violence victims in the county. Really, they were interested in understanding more about what services are offered. So really already helping to build partnerships there, which is really exciting to see. And people, got a lot of really good feedback from those groups, a lot of support and interest in supporting college students as well. All that being said, there's a lot of new ideas and really exciting prospects that comes with an additional cost. But again, putting these strategies and plans into this commuter assistance strategic plan makes it a possibility to apply for additional DRPT funding and additional grants. So beginning in FY 2025, which is next July, a range of approximately $200,000 to $300,000 of additional need again, but that there are a lot of funding sources that can be leveraged for that. On the next slide, a similar kind of need. Holly and Lakeisha and the rest of their team they do a lot of great work, but every time we add new things to their plate, there's additional staffing needs. So we also have recommended a new staffing position beginning in FY 2025 to help implement and create these programs. So we're really excited about what's in this plan. We hope you all are also. The next steps here would be to seek the commission adoption, submit that final plan for DRPT. That would roll into grant application funding in this upcoming February. We can already start implementing some of the strategies where funding is already in place. And a really important one of this plan is that travel patterns change, strategies change, so we need to monitor that performance, look at how travel patterns are changing, and conduct some annual updates and revisions on those strategies. So that concludes the presentation tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions or take any comments if there are.
Commissioner Bailey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. First of all, let me just thank you for focusing on, for local jurisdictions, you focused on acts. That's it's in my district, and I appreciate that because there is a need and a focus there. So I appreciate that. Then secondly, I want to encourage you to continue to keep the terminology of equity. I appreciate that being a focal point in the presentation, because with the diversity that we have, it being the 10th largest in the country, it's important that we're addressing all cultures and, as much as we possibly can. So that piece is really important. And then lastly, one of the things that I'm very encouraged by is the fact that we're identifying or focusing on getting more grants. That's, and to pair current funding with the acceleration of other funding. I think that's a trend that needs to be no pun intended, across the board as we go forward. And so that was very encouraging to see as we support and service our community. So I just wanted to, as a data point, give that to you.
Excellent. Thanks for those comments, Commissioner.
Yeah, just a point of clarity, is this the same as the commuters awards program? Is this the same thing? Or is this
No,
separate
this is the strategic plan portion.
of that program? I guess I'm a little confused on what the commuters awards program is and how
Best
does
place
that
to
relate to
work.
this?
So this is the strategic plan of the overarching program.
Right.
One element of that is the contract to do that item. So it's just
Okay.
we have to, in order to apply for future grants and other activities, we have to have the cap SP.
Right.
Separately from that, we want to introduce the program for the best places to work, which is a separate action item.
Okay, and that's what's funded through CMAQ.
Yeah, is that the CMAQ project? Yes.
Okay, but this program, which is gonna cost about 230,000 on the lower end, that's completely separate and is an overarching program.
Correct. That's more of just if it were to be deployed as designed, it's not an actual budget ask for that.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Bowe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the presentation. A couple questions. You brought up a map very early on in your presentation about so the areas you saw activity and density. I saw that there were some areas that were just outside where the market is and just outside where you guys sort of established those markets. And just very selfishly, some of those are in my district. So that being said, I know that those are some of the more semi-rural residential parts of the county, especially as you get towards that mid-county area. Are those some of those places we're looking at maybe doing that last mile so they can sort of reach into those areas and come back out?
Yeah, that's a great observation, and I would generally treat those boundaries as quite loose boundaries. There's definitely ability where, if there is demand for these types of programs, we're not saying that they can't go outside that boundary. But that being said, I think the more rural, like you're saying, the lower density, that those areas can be harder to target, just given the density and the effectiveness of reaching out. But there are certainly other strategies. There's mailers, for example, that go to all of the residents. I think every time there's a new one, someone moves to Prince William County, they get a mailer about what services are available. Those types of options can also, or those types of areas can also be good options for, promoting commuter lots that they may be able to drive a short distance to and get on a commuter bus. So we may not be able to serve every low density area, with a bus route or with a sidewalk necessarily right to their house, but there may be other options as well too.
Appreciate that. And just so my last thing, I'll just recall one of the great transportation town halls we had for my district a couple months ago. Dr. Schneider and some other staff were on it. And Hunter's Ridge, which is a community which is just outside, so that Parkway, Hoadley area of that map, express an interest, like I said, not saying a full-on bus that goes in their neighborhood, but something like paratransit or first mile last mile that at least goes up to the Parkway where they are, so they can just walk a short distance from their houses to the Parkway, maybe pick up something from there and be shuttled to somewhere else in the area.
There you go, Commissioner Garrett.
Similarly, didn't really see Stafford on here. I know that we're not really a target market. We haven't invested as much as we could or should, in my opinion. I guess my question is just, would you project that changing if we do a transit center, for example, that we've been discussing in Vanpo about the downtown area that's near the courthouse? I would assume that would kind of shift, and maybe we could, focus and kind of build that out there. If we put in a transit center or something, I feel like that's the next step for us. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, generally, the purpose of these commuter assistance programs overall are to promote the transit and available options. So, OmniRide is already offering commuter service from Stafford. We would want to help promote those routes as well. There also may be opportunities for partnerships with GWRC and that region as well to help kind of cross-promote those services and options that are available in Stafford.
Thank you.
little bit of infill on that. So we have a great partnership with GW Ride Connect. They help manage the van pool program. There isn't really a we have the TDM program, we have the commuter assistance program. Those things are really funded for the region. There hasn't been a lot of interest in there. However, we share information with them. We're part of the councils. It's just not part of the formal study, and because this is grant driven, we have very defined parameters. If maybe down the line, the parameters expand and we say, hey, let it follow services, which hopefully will be happening in proposal for September. That
So this
services out of
doesn't actually
Spotsylvania.
follow services, which is why we didn't really see. that.
Correct.
Okay, that
And
makes
so,
sense.
but there's nothing that prevents us from the future to talking to our great friends at GRPT. Is there interest? Is there growth opportunity? And it may be just a partnership with some of the work that FAMPA is already doing. We may be able to cross blend some of this. So there's some creativity
Hope so.
there
Thank you.
that I can help. I'll talk to Lucas and Holly separately, and maybe there's some things we can do.
You're the great connector for Stafford and everything
We will
else.
help get things done.
Transportation. Thank you.
Get things done.
I see what you did there, Mr. Chairman. So final question for me, sort of on that same piggyback ride, we have the sort of prolific, which is HQ2, starting up in Arlington. Phase 1 is just finishing up now. We have phase 2, thousands upon thousands of new jobs that I'm sure folks from Prince William County and Stafford and our neighboring jurisdiction will be employed too, and we'll have to take the bus 66, like you talked about, 95, up to that point. Does this sort of look ahead towards emerging employers like that? Is that sort of built into some of the modeling that you're doing, or is this more sort of just localized to us?
It's an interesting challenge that the region faces with transit and TDM, especially commuter assistance programs, because when you look at what like Arlington and Alexandria, for example, do, they really focus a ton on that employer outreach because they're where a lot of those large employers are connected. A lot of the work that OmniRide and the commuter assistance program do from the employer side are focused, or all of it is focused within Prince William or the cities right now. But there is an opportunity to, also, especially where there may be in the higher density areas, there may be some opportunities to do residential focused outreach if you can get a consolidated group of people. But that is definitely one of the challenges. OmniRide from its transit service is certainly considering, future demand to Amazon, things like that. But for example, we wouldn't send someone to go, OmniRide wouldn't send someone to go talk to Amazon as the employer because
it's a little parochial in terms of territory. So if Holly were just to show up and start knocking on doors in Crystal City, the nastygrams would follow. So
My counterparts would not be happy.
correct. But I think in the newer post-pandemic market, there's a little realization that high tide lifts all boats. And there's been some staff turnover, so maybe the parochialism isn't as entrenched. And so there's opportunity forthcoming. One of the things that we are definitely want to do differently is we have historically just focused on targeting where you live.
Right.
We're looking at the potential of buying bus shelter advertising in those districts, for example, to say as you drive down the street, quote unquote, I'm going to say it a little more gruffly, were you crazy enough to drive today? Did you know, ... and there's the swirl. So those are the kinds of things that we're looking at to get attention so that you will now understand when you see that shelter wrapped, you understand you can catch our services there. So we're looking at some different things that we can do more creatively to drive ridership. And a great example of where you're talking about HQ2, one of the consolidation items in here is to take services where historically we have one route that went over here and one over there. It's going to be every other trip will go through the Pentagon, one to Crystal City, the next one to Roslyn, where we haven't had that consistent service. Now it's going to be every other, and we're starting to do more service that ties those things together because we're trying to truly fill up the buses, generate more revenue, offset costs, and fill up those mid-county parking lots. So if we can do the advertisement locally and at the business, we'll have a much better opportunity to replace our lost passengers.
Right, and that's why I bring that up, because I know a lot of folks go to your point, their employer isn't in Prince William County. Their employer may be in Arlington, Alexandria, Fairfax, even DC. And, they've driven all the way there and they might finally see a bus shelter. Wait, I can get on the bus and come here. And so because we're such an exurban area of the DC core, to me, it would make sense. And I get it, not to knock on Amazon's door directly, but to have someone in Amazon's backyard saying, hey, by the way, we're here Omni Ride, you live in Prince William County, why the heck are you jumping in your car? To me, there's some synergy there we're not utilizing as much.
One Amazon knocking on your door, right?
Exactly.
Package.
Right, yeah.
Love it. We good? Huh? I was enjoying this. All right.
It's up to you whether you want to ask for a summary or you just want to for rules and all of it.
Well, would you like, well, and so, sir, first of all, thank you very much for that presentation. Would you all like a summary of what we've consolidated on these action items? What we have is 4 action items, consolidated. We can, is it 4 or 5? 5 action items. And so we can give you a brief summary of them, or we can get right into a motion to approve the consolidated action item 11.1 to 11.5, which we can screen through those. Maybe you can get, are they all up there?
I just, I don't care which process we go through. I do have 2 questions on 11.1.
So you mean to roll them, get a motion in a second, we go into that, or you
I have
wanna?
questions before the motion.
Okay, let's go.
So for 11.1, I know that there's a couple of people wrote in about concern about travel times and just want to see how we're addressing, making sure that, because obviously we have to do this for financial reasons and efficiency, but how are we assuring commuters that there won't be an increase of travel times, or even if there is, it won't be by much?
So part of one of the things that we're doing is we're working on a project called One Perfect Route. We're partnering with hopefully Prince William County to get us some traffic signal prioritization. That hasn't happened yet, but it's a concept. We've also gone through and streamlined some of the service and drop-offs at the Pentagon. So we don't have as much delay in that area. And so that's the main thing, but again, back to that operational excellence, not having missed trips, making sure the bus gets out of the yard on time. A lot of our complaints are tied to those kinds of performance issues, and we can make improvement there. So delivering what's on the schedule will be key. And as ridership booms, hopefully, those routes can be re-separated and have those direct trips and services. The other thing that is very different now than pre-pandemic is before you couldn't find a spot at Horner Road. You had to go to Lake Ridge because you didn't have options. Now customers that still want that 1-seat ride, I believe it's 1.4 or 2.4 miles from that parking lot to Horner Road, which gets them that speed into DC. So they don't have to go to Lake Ridge, they can, but the better option is to actually drive to Horner and catch that capacity there. Hence the meeting we have with VDOT, letting them know that we're going to be pushing a lot more services back to fill Horner Road in. It's a great resource. And part of what we're going to be looking at is using some of the trip funding, which was amended to use safety and security dollars. So we can increase cameras, lighting. VDOT's even discussed the concept of locking off some of the, putting up gates so they can limit the amount of vandalism and nefarious activities toward the back of Horner Road, which is a constant source of consternation.
It's always been.
So we're working there to possibly assist with that as well. So a variety of internal efforts along with VDOT.
Okay, and then just going back to the question that I had during the presentation, I'm still a little confused on what 11.5 is. Like, what is that program? And how does that relate to the presentation that we just got?
So let's do this. Let's just go through all of them. We're at 11.1. Do we just talk about that? You put 11.2 up, then we'll just go through that. Oh, we got a question on 11.1?
Yeah, 11.1. One that got my attention is eliminates the Lake Ridge, Pentagon, Crystal City route. Just a month ago, Amazon did their ribbon cutting in Crystal City, a 22-story building going up. And they have 7,000 to 8,000 people already hired. And they're on target to get to 15,000 within 2 years. So it may not be something that I don't know what your data are showing.
I'll say this, they're not riding with us. So it's a scenario.
No, but a lot of the people have just started, you know, they've been scattered.
Okay.
And so now they have the first building that was a warehouse that sort of it was a 5-story thing. They had to tear it all down, go 5 floors down in below the earth, and then 22 stories up on top of that. So.
And there still is service to Crystal City, just to be clear. It's not that we're abandoning that. It's we just don't have the separate route from Lake Ridge to Crystal City. It's now going to be part of ours. Is that the D200, Karen? The D200, which will go from Dale City, Dale Boulevard, Gemini Lot, up Minnieville through Horner Road, direct to Pentagon, and then arc over every other trip to Roslyn, and then the trip to Crystal City. So it really is an Pentagon, Arlington driven route, and we're going to be marketing it that way as well.
Okay. So are we good on 11.1? Well, we're not gonna we're gonna go to 11.2. We're gonna go through all of these that we're gonna consolidate, and hopefully everybody's good with them, then we'll make one motion. If not, we'll break them out if you don't like some particular in one of these action items. So 11.2.
11.2, we have service Monday through Friday in Manassas. We also have the East-West Express, which travels from this facility to the hub in Manassas. We've never had service on Saturdays. So this is dipping our toe into the Saturday service in the Western footprint. It's budgeted. We've gone through public hearing. Considering the success of what we had, we're hoping this will be very welcome and lauded. And this also includes the paratransit service. So this will be a great opportunity for the Western footprint of our service band, including Manassas.
August 21st, right?
I believe that's the target date, August 20.
The 26th will be the first.
26th, okay, thank you. Yep, so
Any
that's
questions on 11.2? Good, moving to 11.3.
11.3 to restructure the Eastern Prince William local routes, Prince William Metro Express, and introduce paratransit service. We wanted to do this about 4 years ago, but a thing called COVID-19 derailed us. And so we have been, I don't even want to ask Althea how many public meetings she's staffed and organized and monitored to get feedback. We've had events here at our building, tons of comments. It's part of why your packet is 300 or 528 pages. All of that information is in there, that is budgeted. And so by authorizing this, we can begin the process. We will not do this till spring. We have bus stops to move, shelters to install, schedules to redo. It's a comprehensive rebuild. And so that allows us to do that with item 11.4. 11.3, excuse me. 11.4 is to approve and adopt the updated commuter assistance program strategic plan, which is what was presented.
Yeah.
So that's the plan which identifies, for example, the target markets, which identifies different types of programs, et cetera. So that is just the adoption of the strategic plan. It does not spend any dollars, any recommendations that come out of that. We have to apply for grants in order to get those funded. So those are all those activities. And then 11.5, which is associated but separate, is to develop the best places to work with Kim Lee Horn. It's the premier national recognition program that puts the flag in the ground that says Prince William has it. Businesses in the Prince William community are best places to work for understanding whether they offer flex time, remote work, carpooling. Do they give incentives, for example, carpooling with electric vehicles, all put together, and it's a part of developing a CAP SP, but it's independent from as a contract.
Okay, yeah, I just think we probably need some type of presentation on that, because is this the first time we're hearing about it? Which is fine, I think it's fine. I just think we
Yeah,
probably need a little
it's-
bit more information on
It's
it.
just a general program that we would typically do. For example, if we would execute a marketing program to develop, let me think for some, I'm drawing a blank, anything comparable jump out?
Yeah, it'll be helpful just to send some additional information.
Okay, so we'll send out further information on what's in the packet if we have stuff available.
Okay, so let me just ask a question. Go ahead. Just on 11.5, just ask a question, just for clarity to you, and one, the presentation. If we approve this tonight, bottom line, I guess, are you okay with that? Or do you want to,
Yeah,
I
no.
want to consolidate these, and if not, I'll.
No, yeah, I'm fine with approving it. It's just, I mean, because we are spending, or at least, again, CMAQ funds are being used towards it, right? So I just think we probably just need
Yeah, it's grant funded, so it's part of the CMAQ program of projects.
Yeah.
So that's already been put in, approved,
Yeah.
and then we pull up the full.
And then I'll ask this while he's pulling that up, if after that, then we can get a presentation, and maybe you can email out to the commissioners. so
There's
that you can
the
get more.
9-page companion document.
Yeah, something not 9 pages.
Well, no, it's the full thing is, but the deliverables are the virtual kickoff meeting, agenda meeting summary. It has the project management scope. It includes the deliverables, the monthly progress report, draft existing conditions, recommended practices, development of the best places to work strategic plan, and the implementation, including all the supporting materials, and it's got the project scope calendar. through 2023 with the 4 separate task items.
Yeah, if a constituent asks me what this is, I just need to be able to tell them what we did today.
Okay.
Okay,
Like, can you guys answer that question? Like, can we take a quiz real quick and
what he just
know
said.
what this is? I believe the answer is probably no, so just a little bit more information.
Yeah.
So what this is designed to do is develop a best workplaces for commuters, or a BWC program plan. So defines the programs, identifies what is the criteria for making a best place to work for commuting. Do you have, again, carpool spaces? If you're promoting bicycling or alternative modes, do you have bike lockers? Do you have showers available for the person that then arrives? Do you have mechanisms? Do you have someone who's designated at your employment site in order to be the commute ambassador, for lack of a better terms? Large companies like Micron might have a person dedicated to it, right? But you might have, let's say, at Prince William County government, it just might be someone in the HR department who happens to be the expert. So when they do orientation, there might be a section for new employees. If there's like a county-wide, I don't know if there is, but if there is a county-wide, maybe we get invited to come present. Do you have individual transportation fair days? So then we look at other factors, and it's depending on the criteria. Does your organization have a remote work policy? If so, does it adhere to what types of programs? Does it have X number of days? Do you offer flexibility of different times of travel so that you're not creating congestion, but you're creating alternative work and commute patterns? So those might all be different criteria. So based upon the criteria, what might work in Richmond probably won't work in Dumfries. So it's identifying the different parts of the community. There's similar densities. And identifying a really great example is we've got Rosie's coming. Like, where are they gonna park? How are they gonna get there? So those are different conversations that, because we don't have these kinds of programs in place, we don't really have that structure and mechanism to get that going. As the courts district comes online, we're gonna see a similar issue, because that's more development, but not individual businesses. They'll contract with a Whole Foods or a Wegmans, but they won't have a formalized plan inside Wegmans or a Whole Foods to have those programs put in place. So what this does is it develops the criteria that best fits Prince William County, as opposed to what might work in Arlington, Alexandria, et cetera. And then basically, so I know that's the project management scope portion.
Community Connections does this, doesn't, I mean, I know that I gave out awards to some employers for all different categories.
And actually, we were just at
Different
breakfast in Washington, DC. Yes, we were
Yes.
same exact thing.
Maybe we'll get an
Because
award for that.
GMU won.
Yeah, George Mason University, one of our partners, just won for the best place to commute at the Mason campus in Prince William.
No.
So they're an award winner. So those are all parts of that strategic planning component.
I could probably make an 80% or more on the test, no.
That's passing. 80's good, okay. Yes, there we go. Commissioner Bailey, floor is yours.
Okay, just want to, since you mentioned it, that the things that are needed for Rosie's and that area, nothing is gonna be enhanced with all of this, correct? When you talk about
There's no new services
There's
or
like-
anything like that applied, no. So this is about developing the framework to go in and identify a business, to be able to offer rewards, to share with them. If you actually want to be a great organization that helps your employees commute, these are the things you got to do. And if you do well, we'll recognize you, promote it, and it'll help you recruit employees as well. So it's a double win. Combined with that, it also, quite frankly, sets the footprint for Stafford and Spotsylvania if they want to do something similar, because we do have a lot of parallel items to that. It more applies southward than northward, and that's part of the discussions that we've had with that. But there is no formalized, there's budget spend or anything like that. If we want to host a breakfast or a dinner and all those activities, or we want to fund additional programs, then once this is developed, then it becomes a budget line item. This is to get the program stood up and then execute accordingly.
Seeing no more questions, Commissioners, can I get a motion to consolidate?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Action items 11.1 to 11.5. We've got a motion,
Second.
Commissioner Frank, Commissioner Bailey, and we got a second, Commissioner Sebeski. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call for the vote, ma'am.
Victor Angry.
Aye.
Andrea Bailey.
Aye.
Kenny Bodie.
Aye.
Margaret Franklin. Bob Weir. Monica Gary. Pamela Sadowski. Jeanette Richel.
Yes.
Todd Horsley.
Yes.
Elizabeth Guzman.
Yes.
George Barker.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion is approved.
Thank you, ma'am. Can I get a motion? We're gonna go into action item to go into closed session. Ms. Panda?
Mr. Chairman, we need a motion to go into closed meeting pursuant to Virginia Code 3.2-3711A1 for a personnel matter concerning the executive director's performance evaluation and incentives.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion, Commissioner Gary, second Commissioner Bodie. Any discussion? Hearing none. Please call the roll.
Victor Angry.
Aye.
Andrea Bailey. Kenny Bodie.
Aye.
Margaret Franklin. Bob Weir. Monica Gary.
Aye.
Pamela Sadowski.
Aye.
Jeanette Richel. Yes. Todd Horsley. Elizabeth Guzman. George Barker.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion is approved.
Thank you, ma'am.
I will run in a second. I'm going to email you the direct link to the document, so you've got it, and I'll.
That'll be helpful. Thank you.
Shelley, are you? No, good ever thought it.
Lower the
Have a seat. If
Okay.
that works for you, but I'm gonna, are you on the certification motion? No, you're on the other. On the
Yeah.
certification motion, I'm gonna tell the commission needs to certify you only talked about those things for which you went into closed meeting.
I think we're there now. You just said it.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we got a motion, this is a second.
I believe that was
Sebastian
Sebastian
and
Bodie.
Corner caucus.
Victor Angry.
Aye.
Andrew Bailey. Kenny Bodie.
Aye.
Margaret Franklin. Bob Weir.
Aye.
Monica Gary. Pamela Sadowski.
Aye.
Jeanette Richel.
Yes.
Todd Horsley.
Yes.
Elizabeth Guzman. Yes. George Parker.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion's approved.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so we're out of closed session. I have one, I guess, of just resolution. And so it's approval of the Potomac and Rappahannock Transportation Commission Executive Directors FY 2023 Performance Evaluation Review. And so I'm just gonna get down to the be it further resolved. Commission in accordance with Section 8 of the Executive Director's Employment Agreement approves a 3% merit and a supplemental payment of 4% to its executive director for his work between July 1, 2022 and June 30th, 2023, FY 2023, based on the performance incentive measures agreed to by the commission and the executive director. Good.
Second.
So,
Need a motion.
yeah, I need a motion.
Oh, I thought you said what you were doing.
Well, I just kind of read it. So we're gonna give you the motion. Commissioner
Sure.
Sebesti has the motion.
Second.
Commissioner Bailey has a second. Any discussion?
Victor Angry.
Aye.
Andrew Bailey.
Aye.
Kenny Bodie.
Aye.
Margaret Franklin. Bob
Aye.
Weir. Monica Gary.
Aye.
Pamela Sadowski.
Aye.
Jeanette Richel.
Yes.
Todd Horsley.
Yes.
Elizabeth Guzman. Yes. George Parker.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion's approved.
All right. Okay, so moving on, in the chairman's time, our next meeting is gonna be, well, there's no meeting in August. Our next meeting is gonna be September 7th. So if you're going on vacation, please enjoy yourselves, enjoy this time away, be safe, and we'll see you on the 7th. Yes, sir.
Please take pictures. We are going to request for the September meeting, we would like to see your vacation pictures. That is going to be the opening montage of actually people having fun outside the city.
Take those and
And with that, I'm gonna start.
I'm giving it all
with you,
photos.
Commissioner Sam. I'm gonna start with you.
Lovely, have a great vacation.
Ditto from the corner caucus.
I don't have any comments. It's okay.
Pass.
Pass, all right.
Happy summer, is that right?
Pass.
Oh, absolutely pass.
Ditto.
Pass.
Have a wonderful summer.
All right. But with that, folks, ladies and gentlemen, this meeting is officially adjourned.
I got a long drive.
You do.
I'm going to Manassas.
You get a month off.
Just so you know,
I'm going way past Manassas.
I know my sister lives in.
Dale Boulevard to Hoadley to 234 I've tried every other way.
What's up?
That's the only way.
The question becomes, do you have one of them or do our friend Stafford have one?
I got 40 miles.
40 miles.
Oh, that's much.
I would take the cell.
I'm tired.
Even this time of night, he's got 55.
Yeah.
Well, the cell is a 2-lane road.